Hey guys, welcome to lesson 3. This week our topic is building the major scale. So the cool news is that you already are familiar with the major scale, and if I gave you a starting pitch, you could all sing one to me on solfege. So in fact, let's do that right now. Let's sing the major scale together. Ready? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Nice. Now let's sing another major scale, but let's start on a different pitch. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You may have noticed that even though the pitches that we sang changed from the first scale to the second scale, the solfege stayed exactly the same. The reason that happened is that a major scale is always going to follow the exact same pattern of whole steps and half steps, no matter what your starting pitch is. So let's figure out what that pattern is based on what we already know about whole steps and half steps and solfege syllables. Do to re is a whole step. Re to mi is a whole step. Mi to fa is a half step. Fa to sol is a whole step. Sol to la is a whole step. La to ti is a whole step. And finally, ti to do is a half step. So the pattern of whole steps and half steps for the major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Practice makes perfect, so say it with me this time. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And again, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So now, armed with the knowledge of the pattern whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, let's talk about how to build a major scale on paper. We're going to use E flat major as our example. When you're singing a major scale, you always start and end on do. The same thing goes when you're writing a major scale. So find do by looking at the name of the major scale. And whatever note is in the name of the scale is going to be our do. So we're in E flat major, and that means that E flat is do. We're going to write low do, so the bottom E flat, at the beginning of the staff, and we're going to write high do at the very end of the staff, because that will be our last note. Once you have your two do's in place, the next step is to write the pattern of whole steps and half steps below the staff. So say it with me as I do this. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Our next step is to find re. Do to re is a whole step, so we need to find the note that's one whole step above do. Do in this case is E flat, so we want to go up one whole step or two half steps from E flat. So here's one half step and another half step, and we land on F, which means that re is F. The next step is to find mi. Re to mi is a whole step, so we need to find the note that's one whole step above our re. So we'll count one half step, two half steps to make a whole step, and we land on G, which means that G is mi. Step 5 is to find fa. Mi to fa is a half step, so we need to go one half step above mi. Notice that we've landed on this black key, which could either be called G sharp or A flat. How do we choose which of these two names to use? The answer is that we only ever want to have one version of each letter name in a scale. So we already have one version of G serving as our mi, and that's G natural. So that means that we don't want to have G sharp as well. So that leaves us with A flat as fa. Now we need to find so. Fa to sol is a whole step. So we need to find the note that's 1 whole step or 2 half steps above our fa. So 1, 2. Similar deal as with fa, we've landed on a black note that could either be A sharp or B flat. But we already have one version of A flat as our fa. So we don't want to use A sharp, so that leaves us with B flat as so. Now let's find la. So to la is a whole step, so we need to find the note that's 1 whole step above our sol, or B flat. So we go 1, 2 half steps, make a whole step, and we land on C. So C is la. And finally we need to find T. La to T is a whole step, so we need to find the note that's 1 whole step above our la, which is C. So 1 half step, 2 half steps, make a whole step. We've landed on D. So D is our T. T to do should be a half step. It's always a good idea to double check that the note that you've written for T is in fact a half step away from your original do. So D is our T and E flat is our do. And yep, they are 1 half step away. So that's a good way for us to know that we've written the major scale correctly. Another good thing to check at this point is to make sure that you don't have a mix of sharps and flats in your scale. A major scale is only going to have one or the other. So in this case, we knew it was going to be flats because we were in E flat major. So we have A flat, B flat, and E flat. The other way to check your scale is to sing it and play the notes that you've written on the piano. What you sing should match what you're playing. So I'm going to play do, and then I'm going to sing our scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Everything sounded good, so that means we've done everything right. And the real last step is to celebrate your success with a little dance. Yeah, good team. Yes. So that's all. Go forth and write major scales and be merry. And let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you for the next lesson.